sooner than if you were in what I'll call full-blown Google Ads. We actually call it universal ads or sometimes experts mode. What's great about Smart Campaigns is it's quick and easy to get that set up. And the system, Google's mathematical formulas, help you create an ad that's got the best likelihood of success. So that's one of the reasons why I really like it. You can create an ad in 10 to 15 minutes, away you go, and see what types of results you get right away. So the first thing that you would need to do in Google Ads and Smart Campaigns is put in the name of your organization or the name of the group that you are advertising for. So that's usually pretty straightforward for most of you. After that, you would also want to put in your website. Now, this is something that's kind of interesting. You do want to be sure that it would be the website that you want people to go to after they click on the ad. So this is one of the first places where a lot of people go wrong. Today's Friday. Tomorrow, I'm actually going to a craft fair that was put together by a nonprofit organization. A friend of mine is very instrumental in that nonprofit organization, and I bought some tickets for her. My sister and I are going to go to the craft fair. They're doing a whole holiday bazaar kind of thing, so I'm excited to go to that. And it's a nonprofit that I believe in, so I want to support the nonprofit by going to their holiday craft fair. The thing is if they did an ad for this, it would be a mistake to send people on their ad to the homepage of the nonprofit organization. Because for my purpose, I'm a little bit less interested in this moment in the overall nonprofit organization than I'm interested in getting the details for the craft fair. And so what you want to be sure of is wherever you're going to send people online with your Google ad needs to be the page on your website that has all of the details related to your ad. So the other thing I really want you all to understand, people go online to Google because they have a problem or a question. Your job is to create an ad that promises them you have the solution to their problem or the answer to their question. And then when they click on your ad, they need to go to a place on your website that delivers on that solution. That's why it's important that you think carefully about what page on your website do you want to send people to, assuming that is the point of your ad. Now, if you have an ad where it's designed to get people to call your organization, that's where you need to be sure whoever it is that answers the phone is able to give people information that relates to that particular advertisement. So just be thoughtful. If you do put an ad in that's designed to get people to go to your website, be thoughtful about what page you send them to. The next thing that you do is you write your ad. And Smart Campaigns will walk you through the process of writing the ads. You've got a couple of lines for headlines, a little bit of room for description on there. And then if you design your ad to have the goal of having people call you, you would put in your telephone number at that point as well. Now, what's great about Smart Campaigns is Google knows what types of words and phrases do people in general use when they search for information on Google. So what Google will do is create keyword themes. Now, you may have heard people talk about keywords as they relate to your overall general business. And keywords are these or your overall organization. Keywords are these seemingly magical words that if only you had the perfect keywords on your website would magically show up and be in the first page of Google. Keywords absolutely are important, but it can be really tricky to figure out what is the right keyword to use for the right ad to help you achieve the goal for your organization. Smart Campaigns makes it easy for you to not have to worry about the details. Smart Campaigns organizes keywords into keyword themes. And so all you need to do is look at these keyword themes that Google presents to you and say, yes, this theme is related to this particular ad. No, that theme doesn't really make sense for this ad that I'm building, so I'm not going to select that one. Yes, this third theme, that's perfect for this ad as well. That way, anytime anybody types in something into Google that's related to one of those keyword themes, there's a better likelihood that Google will offer them your ad. So then, ideally, they click on the ad and away you go. You hopefully will achieve your organization's goals. Now, one of the things that's really great about Google Ads is you get to decide what geography do you want Google to show your ads to. You've got a lot of different options here. It can be different cities, it can be different zip codes. If you're in a part of town that's really densely populated, maybe you're in a major metropolitan area, you may even be able to select different communities in your major metropolitan area. You can select different states, you can select the entire United States, you can even select parts of the world if that makes sense for your particular goal for that particular ad. So you have a lot of control over that. You also, if for whatever reason, wanted your ad to be shown to people in other states, but not necessarily in your state, you've got that option as well. So you've got a lot of flexibility to be sure that your ad is being shown to people who live in the areas that are most important for you. Good example of that is if perhaps you were a nonprofit that helps people in disadvantaged communities, if you're creating an ad that was designed to let people know about services you offered to them, you may want the ad to be in zip codes that you knew were perhaps disadvantaged communities. However, if you're creating an ad that was designed to generate donations, you probably would want to select zip codes in areas that you know people have either a higher net worth or for whatever reason you have a good indication that they tend to be the type that are a little bit more charitable minded. So you really want to be strategic with the areas that you choose to have your ads displayed. The next thing that you would do in Smart Campaigns is you get to set the budget. Now, Google will give you recommendations based on what other organizations that have similar keyword themes tend to spend on advertising. But the thing that I love about this type of advertising is you have total complete control over how much money you want to spend on your ads. Now, if you're just getting started, I recommend you start with a smaller budget rather than a larger budget. I'll be honest with you, when you're writing ads that are designed like this, sometimes it can be a little bit hard to hit a home run the first time out. So what I would recommend you do is create an ad, start with a smaller budget, let it run maybe for 3 or 4 weeks, see if you're getting the type of response back that you want to get. If you are, great, you can choose to increase your budget. If you're not getting quite as much response as you hoped you might want to, you may want to stop the ad, rewrite it, maybe choose a different geography, and then start it up again and see if you can get better results. That's why if you're testing an ad, test with a smaller budget rather than a bigger budget. And then once you finally get to the place where you are getting the types of results you're looking for, then you can make the decision about whether or not you want to increase your budget. Maybe you don't have to, but just know you have total control over that. You can stop your ad anytime you want to. You can pause your ad anytime you want to. You only pay Google for people who have clicked on your ad in the past. You don't pay for anything in the future. There's no contracts. There's no monthly minimums. You have total complete control over it, which is one of my favorite things about this type of advertising. So after you set the budget, then Google basically asks you to kind of review the campaign. And it's only after you've done those things that Google will ask you to type your credit card number into the Google Ads platform. Now, I do want to kind of bring attention to that. Typically, I don't like to talk about, how you pay for stuff. There are very few things you have to pay for with Google tools. Advertising is one of them. Frequently, people will ask me, hey, Pamela, what about those calls I get from people at Google wanting me to do Google Ads? Are those legitimate? Depending on what type of organization you have, you may get a phone call from somebody at Google asking you if you wanted to try doing some ads. Just know nobody from Google will ever ask you for your credit card number. If anybody from Google does reach out to you to help you with Google Ads, you will be the person to type your credit card number into Google's system. So if anybody calls and says that they're from Google, we'll take care of your ads. Give me your credit card number. I'll take care of it for you. That person is not from Google. So I just like to point that out simply because I get that question asked quite a bit. Now, after your ad is running, you've got a lot of flexibility to actually manage that ads campaign. Google gives you all kinds of data that you can use to review the performance of your ad. You can figure out, hey, wait, we chose this keyword theme. Maybe that wasn't the right theme, but maybe I want to change a different keyword theme to see if you might get better results. So you've got that flexibility as well. You can write additional ads. You can edit the ads you want. You can change the geography where you want them to be. You can even determine what days and times do you want your ad to be shown. If the goal of your ad is to have somebody call you, you may not want your ad to be displayed at a time when your organization is not able to answer the phone, such as, well, depends on what type of organization you have. So you've got a lot of flexibility with how your ads are displayed. And again, you can always edit, make changes anytime you need to. And if you don't want to do any more advertising, you can always stop your ads anytime as well. So what I just showed you there was creating an ad through the Smart Campaign experience. And I mentioned before when I first got into this presentation, there are two different advertising experiences with Google. There are Smart Campaigns, and then there's kind of like the more robust version of Google Ads. And we don't really have like an official name for that. Sometimes we call it search campaigns. Sometimes we call it universal campaigns. Sometimes we call it experts mode. For the sake of today's presentation, I'm going to try and call it experts mode. All right, Cheryl, I see that you're back online with me again. It's nice to see you again, Cheryl. There absolutely are reports that you can use to review your ads performance, and we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. All right, so remember for today, we've got Smart Campaigns and then what I'm just going to call experts mode. Now, these two tools offer different experiences. Experts mode is kind of like what it sounds. You've got a lot more detail that you can do. There is a lot more flexibility that you have. You have a lot more control over things. Oftentimes that's good. Other times it also gives you a lot more control to kind of mess things up. Just kind of being honest with you here. So I want to kind of compare what's the difference between Smart Campaigns and experts mode. So when it comes to bidding in Smart Campaigns kind of happens automatically. In experts mode, that's something that the person who's creating the ad manages that. So what exactly is bidding? Bidding is kind of a little bit of a confusing topic when it comes to ads. You basically, when you set up your budget, certainly in Smart Campaigns, you say, this is how much money I'm willing to spend a month on advertising. And then in experts mode, they kind of decide how much is each ad going to cost you. In the advertiser managed part of experts mode, you're the one who may say, I'm only willing to pay $2 for every person that clicks on my ad. I don't want to pay any more than that. Or maybe I'm willing to pay $7 for everybody who clicks on my ad. I'm not willing to pay any more than that. So you have a little bit more control over that. In Smart Campaigns, you don't need to worry about that stuff. Google will balance out your ads to try and help you have the best likelihood of success. Also, when it comes to advertising, one of the things that I do hear quite a bit, particularly from smaller organizations, is they worry that, oh, this other organization has got a really big budget. They're going to do all these ads. They're going to spend more money on ads. No one's even going to see my ads. What's the point? Because I have a small budget. The budget is not necessarily the only or even the most important factor to determine how often your ad is displayed. One of the things that Google uses to determine which ads get displayed more and which ads don't get displayed as much is what is the, for lack of better words, what's people click on the ad, go to the website, and then maybe sign up for something, or they spend longer on the website. That's a signal to Google that the person who clicked on the ad found the value in the ads, and they express that by navigating through the website. So I just want to assure people, if you have a smaller budget, that does not at all mean that you will be totally shut out from your success with your advertising. The next thing that is the difference between smart campaigns and experts modes are something called ad extensions. And ad extensions are just kind of, for lack of better words, little tidbits of text that can show up at the bottom of your advertisement. In smart campaigns, Google does that for you. In experts mode, you're the one that creates what you want those extensions to be. And I'll talk about those in just a minute. Keyword editing. I've kind of talked about keywords here a couple of times. Again, smart campaigns happens a little bit more automatically through keyword themes. Experts mode, it's something that you have to have more control over. So the other thing is the landing page. In smart campaigns, one ad can only go to one landing page. In search campaigns, it's easier for you to create overall advertising campaigns that have multiple ads in them, and you can have multiple places where you want to send people. So I just kind of wanted to get into the difference between smart campaigns. Most things are automated. Experts modes, you're responsible for picking and choosing how you want those to go. If you are in smart campaigns and you decide that you want to transition into expert mode, Google makes it easy for you to do that. If Google pops you into smart campaigns the next time you go to Google Ads, when you have the place to create your ad, Google will ask you, what's your main advertising goal? In smart campaigns, one ad can only have one goal. Should be that way in experts mode as well. Those goals can be, do you want somebody to call you? Do you want somebody to visit your website? Or do you want somebody to visit your physical brick and mortar location? So if you wanted to stick with smart campaigns, you would choose one of those three. If you wanted to flip over to experts mode, what you would do is go down to the bottom of that screen. And you'll see I've got highlighted in that blue box here. It says switch to experts mode. Just simply click on that link, and then you would be back in the experts mode. If you're already in experts mode, if you say, wait, this is too much for me, I want to try the smart campaign experience, you can absolutely flip back to a smart campaign as well. So I just showed you how to create something in the smart campaigns. If you wanted to create some ads in the experts mode, this is how it would work. Once you're in experts mode, you would select search as campaign type, and then you would select the campaign settings, what your ad groups are, then you would create the ads, and then you would go ahead, review the ads, and launch them. Now, don't worry, I know I kind of went through that super quickly. At the end of today's webinar, I've got some great resources I'm going to share with you that give you very precise information on how to create ads in experts mode as well. But what I want to talk about right now is really how can you improve your ads? Because it doesn't matter if you're in smart campaigns or if you're in experts mode. If the ad that you write is not a very good one, you're not going to get good results. It doesn't matter how big your budget is. It doesn't matter which platform you try. So let's talk a little bit about what type of content you should have on your ads. Now, in regular text ads, as I said, you've got a couple of lines for headlines, a couple of lines for the description, and then you need to decide what URL do you want to send people to. What is the website you want people to go to? Now, here's an example. This is a for-profit organization, but the example works perfectly well for nonprofits too. So let's talk a little bit about what makes an ad great. Remember, people go online to Google because they have a problem or a question. Your job is to start to think about what is somebody's problem or what is somebody's question. So in the example that I shared with you before about the holiday gift fair that I'm going to tomorrow, that's being organized by a nonprofit, I personally don't necessarily have a burning desire to go to a holiday gift fair that's organized by a nonprofit. What I do have is a burning desire to find some creative gifts for my loved ones for the holiday season. That's what my need is. And yes, I absolutely support and believe the nonprofit, so I'm happy to go. But if I was a stranger, if my friend hadn't said, hey, Pamela, I'm doing this, are you interested in the ticket? I wouldn't have necessarily proactively thought, I wonder if any nonprofit out there is doing a holiday gift fair. That's typically, people don't think that way. But if I had been looking for unique holiday gifts, if I would probably do a Google search for what? Unique holiday gifts.
Profit organization.
If that
had an
nonprofit
advertisement
had an ad
that said something like, looking for unique holiday gifts, question mark. Click here to get more information, or click here to buy tickets for our upcoming holiday gift fair, that would have been a home run for me. So that's why you need to think carefully about what is it the person wants to do, so that way you can create an ad that kind of matches what their needs are. That is kind of the first step of creating ads that are going to help you achieve your goals. Now, you do also need to think about what are the keywords that people might be typing into Google. An example that I just shared with you, I potentially could be typing in unique holiday gifts, or gifts for grandmother, or gift for adult son, gift for husbands. Those are all gifts that I'm trying to figure out. I want to have unique gifts for those people in my world. So that's the type of thing that I literally do. Sit here when I'm not doing webinars and think, oh my gosh, yesterday actually was my brother-in-law's birthday. He's coming to my house on Sunday. I need to find a gift for him. Maybe I can find something at the holiday gift fair. So a couple of other things. You do want to be sure that you're keeping your ads focused especially when you are in experts mode. Your ads need to be simple, but they need to be enticing. Remember, the fact that your nonprofit organization exists may or may not meet the needs of what people are looking for on Google. Think carefully about what is it people are looking for and write an ad that will address their needs. As I said, you may need to try a couple of different versions of your ad until you get one that actually works well. And there absolutely are reports that you can review to be sure that you know which ads are giving you the best traction that you're trying to achieve. So when we're now in experts mode, you can think about very precise keywords. In smart campaigns, remember, Google will offer you keyword themes. So you don't need to worry about getting too precise with keywords if you're in smart words. If you're in experts mode, though, you've got a lot more control over the keywords that you are using. Google Ads in experts mode has a tool called the Keyword Planner that can help you figure out good keywords for your advertisements. There are actually a couple of little special codes you can use with the ads, with the keywords in in experts mode. So I'm showing you right now, the first type of keyword you can use is what we would call a broad search. In the example you can see on the screen here, spice would be a broad search. So anybody that was doing a Google search for anything that has to do with spice or spices would potentially be offered websites and advertisements related to the word spice. You can also do a phrase, and you would designate a phrase by putting it in quotation marks. And the example that you can see here would be if somebody was looking for Caribbean spices or Caribbean spices, depending on how you pronounce that. That kind of narrows it down. Maybe you don't sell things like vanilla spice or cinnamon spice. Maybe you only want to sell specific spices that are grown in the Caribbean. That's how you can get very specific. You can also get super exact, and you would get exact by putting something in brackets. Now, in the phrase that's a little bit more specific or in broad, Google does a good job of, certain words kind of are used kind of interchangeably. Gift and present. Those are kind of like, they're different words, but at the holiday season, they kind of mean the same thing. So if I was searching for gift for mom or present for mom, that would typically show up in a broad search. If I only wanted to show my ads to people that were only looking for a gift, that's where I would put it in brackets. So then Google would not show my ads to people that were looking for a present for mom. It would only show my ad to people that were looking for a gift for mom. So hopefully that makes sense. You can also put a negative in there. In the example that we have here of the spice, this is actually kind of fun. There may be certain words or phrases that tend to go with the words that you're using for keywords that are not at all related to what you have to do. So in the example that we have here for this spice store, they put a negative in front of the word girls, meaning don't show my ad to people that are looking for information about the Spice Girls pop bands, because that is not at all the audience for this particular advertisement. So you've got a lot of control over your keywords in experts mode. Remember, in smart campaigns, Google takes care of that for you. You don't need to get this precise if you're in smart campaigns. So when it comes to figuring out in experts mode, what keywords should you use? As I just mentioned, there is a free tool that's part of Google Ads called the Keyword Planner. This is something that you can use to kind of search for different keywords that might make sense for your particular ad. You can see how many times are people searching for that particular word in any given month. You can kind of figure out, well, if I wanted to set a budget for this particular keyword, how much are other people spending or bidding on that particular keyword? It can help you kind of organize different keywords in a way that makes sense for you. And you can also create different ad campaigns based on these different keywords. Now, here's a little tip for you. The Keyword Planner is something which is available to you for free, whether or not you actually create and pay for any ads with Google. So for those of you that have your website and you're thinking, well, I don't know what keywords I should have on my website, you can actually go into experts mode in Google Ads and use the Keyword Planner to get some good ideas for the types of words that you may want to use on your website. Keep in mind, over the course of time, people search for different things. People are searching for very different things today in November of 2021 than we were searching for in November of 2020, and completely different things than we were searching for in November of 2019, because the world is so different today than it was 1 or 2 years ago. So you do need to be sure, even if you think you know what keywords might be good for you, you need to be sure that you're looking at this on a regular basis to be sure the world hasn't started shifting and they're looking for something different for you. Now, ad extensions this is kind of what I mentioned a moment ago, and I'm going to slip ahead a slide. Ad extensions, as you can see on the screen here, that is an example of a text ad. And those kind of 2 little chunks of things that are hanging down at the bottom, that's what we call ad extensions. So let me kind of flip back to I need to flip-flop my slides in my presentation here. So ad extensions in smart campaigns kind of happen automatically. Google says, hey, this is their ad. We're going to attach these relevant ad extensions to your ads. In smart campaigns, they can be call extensions, which basically is like, click here to call us now. Site link extensions, meaning go to my site. Call out extensions, having a hard time getting that word out today. Call out extensions is just a little highlighted piece of information about the ad. And then location extensions would be a great example of if your ad is related to a physical location. So if there was an ad for this holiday gift fair I'm going to tomorrow, they may have a location of, well, this is the address of where the gift fair is actually going to be. So those are the different extensions that you can do in smart campaigns. In experts mode, you've got a lot more, whoops, I went the wrong way. In experts mode, you've got a lot more details about what you can do for smart campaigns. You can have information on there for the price, information on there for different promotions. Maybe you're doing a Black Friday, something special, or better than Black Friday, probably for you, Giving Tuesday. You may have some things. You could have a special extension for Giving Tuesday presentation you might be doing. So there are a variety of different extensions you can do in smart campaigns there's a variety of different extensions you can do in the experts mode that are not available in smart campaigns. All right, you can see I'm tripping over my words here. This is not the first webinar I've done today, and I've had a lot of coffee, so I apologize for tripping over my words. So Cheryl, here's the answer to your question. After you create ads, you definitely need to keep an eye on what are the results of them. Every once in a while, I'll talk to somebody and they'll be very frustrated with advertising on Google. And I hear things like, Pamela, I've been doing advertising on Google for 6 months. I've paid Google a bunch of money. I've never made any money. I've never sold anything. This is a waste of my money. When I hear that, I always try to kind of be very gentle and say, well, then if you weren't having any success with your ads in the first couple of months, why did you not stop your ads? So remember, if you're not having success at the beginning, you can always stop your ads, refine them, so hopefully you can get better success next. But you always do want to be sure that you're measuring what is going on with your ads. Be sure that you think carefully when you're creating an ad about what is the goal of this ad? What is it you are trying to accomplish? And be sure that you have created an ad that is designed around that goal. So that way, when you look at your ad results, then you can say, yes, this ad helped me achieve this goal. Or, you know what? This ad helped me get some results for my goal, but it's not really as much as I want. So let me see if I can reconfigure my ad to get better results for that one particular goal. Now, there is some basic terminology that you will see in your reports in your Google Ads account. There is impressions, clicks, and conversions. Impressions, simply, Google will let you know how many people did Google show your ad to. Now, this gets to be a little bit mushy. Google cannot tell if somebody's eyeballs landed on the ad. Google cannot tell if the person actually read your ad. It just means that Google showed your ad to people. It may be, maybe Google showed your ad to 1,000 people last month. So your job then is to figure out how many of those 1,000 people were actually interested in the ad. You'll know that by how many people actually clicked on your ad. So Google will also give you, in addition to the impressions, maybe Google showed your ad to 1,000 people, maybe 100 people clicked on it. That is letting you know how many people were interested in your particular ad. And then the next thing that Google will show you are conversions. And that is something that you can set up in your Google accounts to figure out if the goal of your ad perhaps was to sell tickets to an event. Sorry, all of a sudden I've got a tickle in my throat, which is making my eyes water. I promise I'm not getting emotional here. So if the goal of your ad was to sell tickets to an event, you can find out how many people saw the ad about your event, how many people clicked on the ad about your event, and then how many people, based on that ad, actually bought the ticket, because that is good information for you to have. Now, in Smart Campaigns, this is where Google shows you the information. There's a whole tab in your ads account for reports. Google will let you know your impressions, your clicks. If you set up your ad to have people call your organization, it will let you know how many people called your organization based on the ad. And then you can set up conversions as an optional feature. That's all in Smart Campaigns. In Experts mode, it can get a lot more precise. So in Experts mode, you may have groups of advertisements all baked into a particular campaign. Maybe you're doing your holiday campaign. You can have one set of groups related to Giving Tuesday, another set of ads related perhaps to Christmas, or something along those lines. So Google will let you know what your results are for different groups of ads, as well as for individual ads. Google will also let you know what keywords generated better results for you. Google will also let you know basic demographic information about the people who clicked on your different ads. Now, anytime I talk about demographic information about Google, I always get asked the question of, well, how does Google know that information? Google will generally give you information about the age categories of people that clicked on your ads, as well as do people identify as men or as women. So how does Google know this? When people set up a Google account or a Gmail email address, people oftentimes will volunteer this information to Google. They'll put in the birth date. They will say, you know, I identify as male or identify as female, or I prefer not to give that information at all. People volunteer this information. So that's how Google starts to collect this demographic information to show you. You may be surprised to find out that people in a certain age bracket are more likely to click on a particular ad than a different ad. So this is good information. Again, the demographics and the keywords is only available for you if you're creating ads in the experts mode. So speaking of demographic information, one of the things that you also have the opportunity to do is link your Google Ads account with Google Analytics. And analytics is a whole different presentation that I often do as well, but it is helpful to link these two things together. Google Analytics will let you know how people experience your website. Google Ads reports will let you know how people engage with your advertisement. So in Google Ads, you can get a lot of data about how many people were shown your ad, how many people clicked on it, how many people liked your ad or what have you. But once people land on your website, that's where Google Analytics takes over. So that's why it's a good idea to kind of link those two tools together. Ads reporting is only about the ad itself. Analytics reporting is about what happens after people leave the ad and go over to your website. All right, now if you are interested in attaching Google Analytics to your website, you can do that at g.co/analytics. This is another free tool. Google Analytics is completely free. You don't have to pay anybody anything to use Google Analytics for your website. It will kind of walk you through that process. In just a moment, I'll give you information about how you can get more training resources as well. So the very first resource I want to share with you is one called Google Primer. This is actually one of my favorite tools at Google. This is an app that you download to your smartphone, whether you have an Apple device or an Android device. It's a free app. It's simply called Google Primer. What I like about this is there are a whole slew of lessons and playlists that are on all kinds of different topics, including Google Ads. Each one of these lessons you can complete in anywhere from 3 to 6 minutes. So they're very precise lessons, but they're very easy to digest. So if you're waiting in line at the grocery store, or waiting in line to pick up your kid from school, or you're waiting at the doctor's office, or if it's Friday afternoon and you're sitting at your desk and you just kind of need a mental break, Google Primer is the great resource for you. Quick and easy lessons. Now, if you really want to get detailed and get in deep to any of the tools that Google has to offer, either Google Ads or Google Analytics, you can go to a tool that's called Skillshot. You can find that at g.co/Skillshot. And I will send to everybody who's online with me here today a link that's got an email that has links to everything that we're covering here today. So you'll have a link to this as well. What's nice about Skillshot is, as I said, you can get really in-depth training. The lessons are kind of organized into skill level. So there's, basic, medium, and advanced lessons, kind of depending on what your needs are. So even if you're not ready to get more training today, I definitely recommend you look at those two tools, Primer as well as Skillshot, just so that way you know what's available to you for if and when you're ready for that. And then the last thing I want to share with you all right now is Google Ad Grants for nonprofits. You can find information about this at google.com/grants. Google offers qualifying, not all of them, but qualifying nonprofits access to grants of up to $10,000 a month for Google Ads. There are a couple of requirements about what types of nonprofits can qualify for these types of ads. Even if you're a small nonprofit, you still may be able to qualify for these ads. I have talked to many, many small local nonprofits who absolutely have taken advantage of Google Ad Grants. So if you want to find out if your ad is eligible, if your organization is eligible, you would simply go to google.com/nonprofit eligibility. Now, I will tell you the types of organizations which are not eligible are government entities. So Google's not going to give free advertising to the government. Hospitals or healthcare organizations, Google does not give free advertising to those groups. If you are a school, an accredited school, academic institution, or university, Google actually has a different program under the Google for Education area. So if you don't fall into any of those categories, definitely take a look at the Google Ads grant, assuming you're a nonprofit, because it is only available for nonprofits, and see if you can maximize that. You know, a lot of people are unaware of that nonprofit ad grant, and so I always like to be sure that I talk about it if I know I'm talking to an audience that has lots of nonprofits. Because if you can do advertising for free, because Google's going to give you this ad grant, that would be fantastic for you. Finally, the last place where I encourage you to go if you've got questions about anything related to Google is the Grow with Google website. Grow with Google is the division of Google that helps all different groups of people learn how to improve their online skills. You can find that for small businesses and nonprofits. So if you go to that website, just know there's a section there that says something like small business. If you're a local nonprofit, go to that section. I know that there's a difference between a business and a nonprofit, but Google kind of puts everybody into the same bucket. There's also information on this website for teachers and students, as well as for job seekers, people that are transitioning out of the military into civilian life, people that are trying to do startups, people that are website developers as well. So there's a ton of information there at google.com/grow. All right, so thank you all for your time here today. I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions people have written in. If you do have a final question, you are welcome to type it into the questions area, and I'll be sure if I can answer that for you. Let's see, okay. Pat asked a question. Can I go back to this slide that has the, go back to the slide that's got the nonprofit grants information on there. Let's see, which slide is it? Oh, not that one. Not, here we go. All right, so Pat, this is the information. We can start the process of learning more about the Google Ad Grants at google.com/grants. When you go to that website, it is kind of designed for, they do offer these grants on a global basis. So a lot of times it'll talk about your country. Just don't worry about that. Just kind of navigate through the process, and you can learn a little bit more about the grants to see if that's something that might be helpful for you. Let's see, okay. So the next question here. Okay, Chris asked about, I can't read and talk at the same time. Okay, Chris basically, it looks like he's asking about how to get started with Google Ads. So let me go back. Nope, that's me. There we go. Okay, you can simply go to g.co/ads. One of the things that I do recommend you do is if you want to get started with Google Ads, or really if you're working with any Google tool that's available to you, always when you land on a website, always look up at the top of the window at the URL and be sure it's google.com/something. There are a lot of other organizations that would be delighted to help you with your Google Ads. And they have, you know, their own fees that they layer on top of the fees for the advertising. Now, if you choose to outsource managing your ads to some other person or some other organization, and that's a strategic decision you make for your organization, and you have the budget to do that, that's perfectly fine. There are some really good organizations out there that can help you with your Google Ads. Just know you don't ever have to do that. You can create your ads yourself. All right, so I think that was all the questions people put into the questions area. Thank you all for your time here today. It is Friday, so I hope you have a great weekend, and it's almost Thanksgiving. So I wish you a happy, healthy, and wonderful Thanksgiving, however you choose to spend the day. And I look forward to seeing you at another webinar that I'm doing at some point in the future. Thank you, everybody, for your time today.